So hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 62 and in this video we are adding an attack button to our widget, our player widget. What I mean with that is this widget which we created. We have only this live bar and now we make one button so that when we click on a button we can attack instead of using the mouse. So you can choose later which you prefer more, using the mouse as attack. It's also very cool. Or use here buttons. In my case, I will demonstrate here buttons because the character should have attack buttons and perhaps later also attack skills or general skills which he can use. And to do so, we will get some buttons. In this case, we start just with one button, and later you can add as much button as you want. So in my case, I make this button here. I go to the anchor here on top and I anchor it here on the right. So this button is now connected to this side. And when I change here my screen, you can, here you can't see it, but later when you change your screen, this one will be all time aligned to this corner. This is the first step. The second step is I select again my button here on the left side in the hierarchy. I go to the button, I press F2 or you click right click and rename, and I call this button BTN, and with that I make an underscore and call this, for example, attack. This is button attack. And we can do one more thing. We can get here a text in it, put in. And you see when I put the text here, drop on the button, you see it is in the button because it is included as a child in the button, and that we can see here on the left side again. Here is the button. The text is now attached. Of course, you can deattach it by dragging out to the other places, but in my case, I don't want that. I want that it stays there. And I call this text. So I select this text, go to the details panel on the right side and call it here where it says content text, for example, attack. So now we have this one, and now we go back to attack button. So I select again the attack button. Now I have the options of attack button. And on the right side here where it says appearance, we go to style. And in style, when you will see you have something like normal, hovered and press. And that is the mouse options which is the normal is which you see at start. Hovered is when your mouse is hovered on the button, and press this when you press this button. And you have here some more options, but we are only interested in the first three right now. Because I want to change just the color. Of course, you can change here a lot more. For example, you can include a nice button image or style this like you want. In my case, for this demonstration, I just change here the color and that's it. So, and for this, I have here an option where it says tint. I click on it, or you can also use this numbers here, but I think this one is faster right now for us. And I choose here any color. I already choose this color here on top, and how I made this here on top is after you selected here a color, for example here, then you can drag this color here, what you see here, which is right now selected. Let's go here, for example, to red. So now is here anything like red, then you could drop it here on top and you have it available for later use again. In my case, I say it's blue, or let's make a really other. This one perhaps, this is also cool. So I drop it on top and you see this is just something like a saver for later use, fast access. It's nice. Perhaps you want to use them for other buttons too or something like that. So let's continue a little bit. And of course, you have here much more options how to get the color. You have here a dropper, which means you can select this one and select anything here what you can see, and it will take this color. It's also very nice. Okay, I selected this. Now I selected nothing. Let's go back to normal color again. What I did there, tinta here. I set here the alpha back. That should be not the case. And I select this on top, I select this color and I select OK. So with that said, we have covered only normal. I want to go for the other ones too, and what I make here is on hovered. I go again to tint, I select my color, which was normal, but this time a little bit darker, so I can see my mouse is over this button. Here there is no demonstration, a preview here, but later you can check it on other places, I think. And then let's do for the pressed as well. And in pressed I choose, let's see, here's pressed. Here I choose even another color, or let's say, yes, other color. So to indicate I pressed something else. So it's activated, a green color is all time nice. All right, and this one stands out. I pressed it and that's okay. And that was already my style. Of course, you can go wild here and make your absolute beautiful colors, options, backgrounds, and whatever you like and think it's cool. So, but we continue. I compiled this, I saved this, and this is just the styling I finished here. Of course, we have to code it, but let's check it first. So, how we can check it, we can just start our game, for example, and we see, okay, we see it's working, but we have a problem. What is the problem? I want to make my mouse visible. Right now, when the game starts, my mouse disappears and it's in game and I have access. But to click this button, I need a visible mouse, right? Let's get into it and see how we can make this. There are different ways where we can set this mouse to be visible. So one place is the game mode, another place would be your player character. No, this one, the player character. This is the player controller and player character and many other places. In our case, I say the player controller, for example. Let's choose this, why not? Here we created also, here we spawned also the widget, and the player controller is a very good place, I think, to spawn the mouse, because it's only for you intended, but perhaps not. We can think about this later if this is has security problems for multiplayer, but right now for demonstration it's a good place. Let's use it. So what we have to do, there is a special node called input mode. You write input, and after you write input you have one more thing, input mode, and then you see there pops up some options, and we are interested in these three options here. One is input mode game and UI, which means we can access the game with the mouse, and the UIs which are displayed is also not bad if you make this setup, but in my case I want only UI, which means I have no access in game with my mouse anymore. So I have only the keyboard to move around, and then I can use, for example, here the mouse to activate skills or something like that. But game and UI would be also interesting to use both. For example, you want to use the buttons and the mouse to change something. So after you selected this one, we get one more info here, and we need the player controller, and actually we are here in player controller. Normally you would say here get player controller, something like that most time, but this one is even possible that you write yourself, because it's this self. For example, in this case self makes sense because we are in player controller, so you don't need get player controller, but if you want you can use this one too, but I think self makes more sense here, and that's why I keep this one. And with that said, we can this node here in widget to focus, we can't set this one now because this one is used for a reference of an active widget, or we have not it, right? We have not an active widget, we have only widget classes created so far, because this widget blueprint is just a class, and this one is a reference not to a class right now. At least it looks like that. I'm not so sure. Okay, let's continue. Let's see what happens. I start this, now I see my mouse. I can attack, but I have a problem. You see here this color changes. This is this hovered normal attack thing. The problem is, first of all, I can't walk. And the second problem is the mouse disappears, but it's only disappears here when I go here. And there is a bigger problem. I have no access anymore with my keyboard, which means we have indeed to change this one to game and UI. So let's change this input mode game and UI because we use the keyboard as well. That's the problem. This is the one problem. We have one more. Let's make this, compile, save, and when we see this, now I can go here. I can move because now I have access to the keyboard. And the next problem is, again, this disappearing mouse, right? So you see my mouse is on the right side. It goes out, and now when I go in, it disappears. But when I hover over this mouse, it's still there. I know it. So we have to do something for that. And we can make different kind of things. We can set, for example, the mouse, because right now we have only set input mode, not the mouse. The mouse is in the, so let's say we have set here indirect the mouse, but I want set it directly what the mouse should make. In this case, it should be visible. So there is another thing which you can say set mouse cursor, and we are missing this one here. The reason for that is we need this time again the player controller, and we are again in player controller, so we could use again this one, and then set mouse visible is, or did I write it wrong on? Let me see, what was the node name? I don't know it. I just write mouse visible. Is it this? What was it? I get mouse. Set mouse anything. Cursor widget, set mouse position. Why is this not possible? We get player controller. I'm not player character. Get player controller and then set mouse. I'm not so sure why it's not show mouse set show mouse cursor. I'm blind. It is here a boolean and I'm searching all that. Okay, that was my mistake. All time I'm blind when I'm recording. Okay, set show mouse cursor, and here we have this. And now with that set, we have the option to say if the mouse cursor should be visible or not. And this reroute nodes you can make just for style. Double click on the line and a reroute node appears. And of course I have to set this show mouse cursor and then set this one. This means now this mouse cursor will be set on the screen visible. Then we have it, but we have still one problem, right? We can still go out of this one. I think you can keep this, but if you don't want, you can make here one more thing with this node here. And there is something like, let's see, hide cursor during capturing. This one means when you are here and doing something with mouse in game, the mouse is disappearing. So for example, when I click now the mouse in game, you see I do something in game with the mouse, then the mouse is disappearing. And if I'm not doing something with mouse in game, for example, now I'm walking with my keyboard and the mouse is doing nothing, then we can see the mouse and actually click a button to activate, for example, an attack skill or anything like that while we're using the keyboard. That's good, but why I can go out here? That was not this problem, right? And there was something like the next option above this one, which says in mouse lock mode, so which means this mouse will be locked anyhow. But we have here different options. You can say if you want lock it at all. In my case, I keep it not locked because the reason for that is for development purposes. I want can go out. For example, the game is made in window mode, and then you want to go out of this game and then choose perhaps anything else. But you can set it only to capture screen, only for example, not this one. You can set it, for example, lock always. And now if you do this one, for example, I can't go out of this mouse. I can't go now. I try to go to this outliner here, but I can't. It is locked to the screen. And in my development case, I don't want, because of course I want go out and change here some things. That's why later, after you ship your game, set this accordingly on your needs and so on. Right now I say do not lock at all. Okay, I think that was just a little bit setup of a button. Of course you can make here more buttons or style this buttons and make more skills, attacks. I just attach this one, and later in next video we code here this attack, because now I'm attacking when I click here in screen with my mouse. And what we are going to do is very simple, but that in the next video. And like all time, if you have any question, ask in the comments. I try to answer them, and if not, perfect. And with that said, bye and see you in the next.